Every time you eat, the goal is energy. But without a hidden group of inorganic elements, not a single calorie gets used. At its core, the human body is a walking, talking chemical factory running on Earth. Minerals are elements born in dirt, rocks, and water. Since your body can't produce them on its own, you have to obtain them from plants that draw them from the soil or from animals that have eaten those plants. If vitamins are the temporary software programs running your body, minerals are the permanent hardware. They are the physical spark plugs, the structural scaffolding, and the electrical wires that keep you alive. This is the system of essential minerals, how they mechanically operate inside you, and what happens to your biology when the supply chain breaks down. The scaffolding. Imagine trying to build a skyscraper with rubber beams. Gravity would crush it instantly. Calcium and phosphorus are the concrete and steel of your physical structure. When you consume calcium, it does not just float around aimlessly. It crystallizes on a soft, flexible protein matrix inside your body. Phosphorus then acts as the chemical hardener, locking those microscopic calcium crystals firmly into place. This forms your skeleton. When you accidentally drop a heavy box on your foot or jump off a high ledge, these two minerals are the exact reason your bones absorb the kinetic impact instead of shattering like glass. But calcium has a secret second job that is even more critical than building bone. It is the chemical trigger for every physical movement you make. When you want to walk, your brain sends a rapid signal down your spine, and calcium floods directly into your muscle fibers. This sudden flood of calcium binds to specialized proteins, causing the muscle fibers to violently slide past one another and forcefully contract. Because this precise mechanical contraction keeps your heart beating second by second, your body tightly guards the calcium levels in your blood. If you don't eat enough calcium, your blood pulls it directly out of your bones to keep your heart pumping. Your skeleton is not just a structural frame, it is an emergency mineral bank. Over time, this quiet, daily theft leaves the scaffolding brittle, hollow, and ready to snap under pressure. The electrical grid. Your skeleton handles physical pressure, but your nervous system is a biological supercomputer running entirely on salt water. Sodium, potassium, and chloride belong to a class of minerals called electrolytes, meaning they carry a tiny, highly active electric charge. Right now, as you watch this video, sodium ions are sitting on the outside of your nerve cells, while potassium ions are sitting on the inside. They are separated by a thin wall, creating a biological battery waiting to be discharged. When your brain sends a command to move your arm or process a thought, these minerals rapidly swap places through microscopic gates in the cell wall. This physical movement of charged minerals creates a microscopic electrical spark. Your entire reality, your thoughts, your senses, your physical movements, is nothing more than billions of these tiny sparks firing in perfect sequence. You are out for a long run on a hot, humid afternoon. Suddenly, your calf muscle seizes up in a violent, agonizing cramp. That cramp is a local power outage. You lost too much sodium through your sweat. Without enough circulating sodium to carry the electrical charge, the signal from your brain misfires. The nerve gets stuck in an active loop, and the muscle locks up completely. This explains exactly why sports drinks taste slightly salty. When you sweat heavily, you are not just losing water. You are physically leaking the battery acid required to fire your muscles. The master catalyst. If electrolytes are the sparks, magnesium is the power grid operator, carefully managing the current. Magnesium is what biologists call a cofactor. It is required to physically initiate over 300 distinct chemical reactions inside you, but its primary job is energy conversion. You might think the food you eat directly powers your cells, but it doesn't. Your cells only run on one specific type of microscopic fuel called ATP. Magnesium takes the raw nutrients you digest and physically helps convert them into this usable ATP currency. In fact, ATP can't even become biologically active unless it is tightly bound to a magnesium ion. Magnesium also functions as the mechanical brake to calcium's gas pedal. Remember how calcium floods your muscles to tell them to forcefully contract? Magnesium is the exact mineral that flushes that calcium out of the tissue and tells the muscle to relax. You lie in bed at night completely exhausted, But your legs feel restless, they twitch slightly, and your mind races so fast you can't fall asleep. Without enough magnesium, the biological relax signal never arrives. The calcium keeps firing. Your nervous system stays stuck in overdrive, unable to power down the city grid for the night. The oxygen courier. All of this rapid energy conversion requires a constant supply of oxygen. You take a deep breath, but that oxygen is completely useless if it just sits in your lungs. It has to be physically delivered to your cells. Iron is the magnetic seat on the red blood cell train. Inside your lungs, oxygen molecules bind directly to the iron atoms circulating in your blood. The iron holds the oxygen tightly as it travels through your arteries, and then strategically drops it off at your vital organs and muscle tissues. Look at the veins in your wrist. The deep red color of human blood comes from hemoglobin, the oxygen-carrying protein in red blood cells. Inside your lungs, oxygen binds to the iron at the center of hemoglobin, turning each red blood cell into a microscopic transport vehicle that delivers oxygen to your organs and muscles. You walk up a single flight of stairs and find yourself suddenly gasping for air. Your chest pounds and your vision slightly blurs. If you lack iron, your blood has empty seats. Your lungs are pulling in plenty of air, but there are no iron couriers available to transport it. Your heart begins beating frantically, pumping faster and faster to try and compensate for the failing delivery system. You experience a deep, heavy cellular exhaustion that no amount of sleep can fix. Your cells are quite literally suffocating in slow motion. The maintenance crew. Running this massive factory creates daily structural wear and tear. Every day, your cells sustain microscopic damage from digestion, psychological stress, and environmental toxins. Zinc, copper, and selenium act as your internal repair and maintenance crew. Zinc is the foreman on the construction site. It physically reads your DNA blueprints to build new immune cells and synthesize the proteins needed for immediate tissue repair. Copper forms the vital crosslinks in collagen and elastin, acting as the flexible glue that keeps your blood vessels elastic and strong, preventing them from tearing under the pressure of your heartbeat. Selenium acts as an internal scavenger, patrolling your bloodstream to neutralize free radicals, which are the highly reactive toxic exhaust fumes naturally produced by your own metabolism. You accidentally slice your finger with a kitchen knife. Instantly, zinc rushes directly to the site of the injury. It signals the immune system to deploy white blood cells to ward off foreign bacteria, and it activates the exact proteins required to physically stitch the torn skin back together. People often make the mistake of taking massive doses of zinc supplements only after they get sick or injured. But zinc is the builder. It cannot build a defensive wall if the raw materials are not already circulating on site before the attack happens. The industrial glue. To keep this regenerating machine structurally sound, you rely on a mineral you rarely hear about. If calcium builds the rigid scaffolding, sulfur is the heavy-duty industrial glue holding the softer machinery together. In your body, sulfur lives deep inside specific amino acids. It operates by creating something called a disulfide bond. It physically links separate protein chains together, locking them into highly stable three-dimensional shapes. This specific chemical link is exactly what gives your skin its youthful elasticity, your hair its tensile strength, and your tendons the ability to stretch and snap back like thick rubber bands without tearing. You wake up, get out of bed, and your joints feel strangely stiff. Your hair seems more fragile than usual, and your body takes longer to bounce back from even minor strain. Unlike a lack of iron or iodine, medical science does not classify this as a simple, isolated sulfur deficiency. When your connective tissue begins to weaken, sulfur isn't the one automatic explanation. It's just one part of a much bigger biological picture. But sulfur still matters because it helps maintain the strong bonds that give these tissues their strength and flexibility. If your diet doesn't provide enough of the basic building blocks your body needs, repair can't keep up with everyday wear and tear, and over time, your connective tissue begins to lose the resilience it depends on. The control room. At the base of your neck sits a tiny butterfly-shaped gland, your thyroid. It acts as the master control room for your metabolism, helping determine how fast or slow your body runs. It relies entirely on one specific trace mineral, iodine. The thyroid extracts iodine from your bloodstream and uses it to physically construct hormones. Under the microscope, it becomes clear why the thyroid hormones are called T3 and T4. They literally contain 3 and 4 atoms of iodine, respectively. These hormones act as a physical dial, setting your basal metabolic rate. This is the exact speed at which you burn calories just by existing, breathing, and sitting still. You sit in a warm room, yet your hands and feet are freezing cold. You feel chronically sluggish, your brain is shrouded in fog, and you begin gaining weight even though your diet and exercise habits haven't changed. Without iodine, the control room goes completely dark. The thyroid cannot synthesize the hormones required to send the burn energy signal. Your internal furnace shuts off, and your cellular factory slows down to a crawl to preserve whatever fuel it has left. This exact mechanism is why governments around the world started adding microscopic amounts of iodine to plain table salt. A tiny invisible pinch is all it takes to prevent a systemic shutdown of the human metabolism. Minerals are not optional wellness supplements. They are the structural beams, the electrical sparks, the chemical couriers, and the metabolic regulators that make human life physically possible. Without them, the entire biological system simply crashes.